Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Jonathan back in with the weekly scuffle, and I'm here to talk about Jake Paul and reviewing the fight versus Anderson Silva, which just ended with Jake Paul eventually getting the unanimous decision victory. And honestly, I think that was the right decision. I think he won round 6, 7, and 8, and 8 being a 10-8 round, I believe that clearly gave him 4 rounds to whatever Anderson won beforehand. And I think the previous few rounds were competitive. I think he probably won the first round and I believe the third round maybe. I know Anderson definitely won like the fourth or second, but regardless, I think it was a W fight for Jake Paul. I did not think he had those skills that he showed off. I did not think he could box that well. We got to keep in mind, even though Anderson is 47, he outboxed and outclassed Julio Cesar Chavez, who is a former world champ. And I did not think it was possible for Jake Paul to win this fight with a UD decision. I just didn't think it was possible. And he did it, proving me wrong. I think he solidified himself in a different level, especially compared to other YouTube boxers. Which at the same time, not saying none of them could beat him. I think him and KSI is still a fairly competitive matchup. But granted, I think him fighting these smaller guys definitely gave him an advantage before also because Anderson was taking some of those shots despite being 47 years old. But talking about those smaller guys, Nate Diaz, that's probably the next fight. There was apparently a scuffle with them trying to get into Jake Paul's locker room, and he called out Nate. Nate's been there for a couple of his fights. They clearly got beef. That's definitely one of Jake's targets. Big name, another UFC fighter, probably one of the better strikers in the UFC. And honestly, he won his last fight against Tony Ferguson. I think he had an excellent performance. And honestly, I think that's a big fight for Jake Paul and for this part of boxing that he has created for himself. I don't think he's gonna fight or a YouTuber or an actual boxer soon. I mean, maybe a Tommy Fury after Nate Diaz, but I definitely think the Nate Diaz fight is next. Which, if I'm building him as a prospect, I think it's still a solid fight for his development. But with that being said, we'll see what happens and see you next time. Peace.